Hey, it's episode 9.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Every
going to
time you
play.
say which episode it is, I am shook.
Yeah. Like, it feels like it, on one hand, it's like we just started. On the other hand, it feels like it should be 100 because we've been doing this forever.
Yeah. Yes. And yes.
So we're going to start with a lightning round of pass or smash. Are you ready?
Yeah, but okay, wait. I was thinking about this, and
Okay.
pass means no, and smash means would bang.
Yes.
Okay. Jen's outfit yesterday, smash.
You were nice to me about my clothes yesterday, and I was like high on it all day. So
Yeah, Jen
yes.
showed up for our meeting yesterday looking like a dream date. It was, 10 out of 10, Jen. Your spring wardrobe is hitting it for me. And she was wearing pink, y'all. So much pink.
Just like it's like a pink coral. Yeah, like it like matches the sports bra that I bought 100 of from Target last year.
Great.
Yeah, so baseball cap, smash, heard it loud and clear.
Yeah, I am a fan of a baseball cap. On a lady only.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I feel like when I'm an old lady though, I'm gonna be into ball caps on like old men.
Probably yes. For
Probably
nostalgia
yes.
too. But growing up in Connecticut, all men wore ball caps and I didn't like any of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a sports ball cap. We are so far off topic.
No, we're not. This is exactly what we're supposed to talk about.
You're right. I don't like a sports ball cap.
No, like a cute fashion one.
Cute fashion ball caps.
I will not wear one, to be clear, but I will date them.
Date a ball cap. Okay, good. How about Dickies?
No, pass.
Okay. For anybody who doesn't know, that's like a panel that goes here and goes under your coat only.
Yeah, it's like a sweater with no sleeves and no sides. Pass.
Yeah, and no bottom. Pass. Okay, same. Balloon or puff sleeves?
Smash. Smash,
Okay.
smash.
Grayish.
Smash.
Cool. Assigned pooling.
Pass.
Yeah, pass. Chunky yarns in garments.
Pass.
What about chunky yarns in like a hat,
I want chunky yarns in a floor length cardigan only. Everything else pass.
Okay, hot take. All right.
Yeah. In garter stitch, Jen. Yeah.
Well, did you know that the next thing on this list is garter stitch?
I mean, again, usually pass, but only in the situation I described. Smash. All day smash. Okay. Wearable blanket, smash.
Okay. I'm into wearable blanket.
Blanket scarves, smash. Bring them back.
Yes. Huge. I want to be overwhelmed. I want a funnel.
Lenny Kravitz was right, and his scarf was fine, everyone.
It was fine. Yes. Neons.
Smash, but again, outer smash, not inner smash.
Outer smash. Outer smash.
Not for me.
I'm so glad we spent so long adjusting our microphones so that I could cackle directly into everyone's ear holes.
I'm trying not to.
You're being very good. How about sheer panels? Sheer panels. How do we feel about sheer panels?
Smash.
Yeah. Yeah. They're in. I like it. As long as it doesn't choke the neck.
Yeah. No. Free neck smash.
Yeah. I'm not into a thing where it's like tight across here and then sheer here. It's gotta fit.
Yeah. Choking doesn't belong in a garment.
Choking is not a smash. Well,
not a garment smash.
You made me turn pink. How about that?
That's the goal every episode.
Audio only listeners, literal blush here.
Might have to check the not for children. Well, always check not for children. But
not for children. Not appropriate.
Exactly.
Okay, here's one that is like a knitting comeback. The sleeves only shirt.
Pass. Yeah.
It was a pass before. It's a pass now.
Like the arm condoms? Pass.
Arm condoms. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Drop shoulders.
Smash.
Smash.
As I release a drop shoulder dress.
How about chartreuse?
Again, outer smash.
Mm-hmm.
External smash.
Always been a hard smash on chartreuse. When I was in high school, I got this amazing like silk chartreuse jacket from the thrift shop.
That sounds beautiful. I know that chartreuse for people is how pink is for me. That it's a lot of people's power colors.
It's their identity.
And you know what? I love it in my plants.
Yeah, there you go.
Chartreuse orchid that's blooming right now.
I've been recently into blues. And particularly, and I think blue is like the most boring neutral
You've
ever.
always been into blue.
Just teal.
Slate and teal.
Slate and teal. But like, I'm into like cobalt. Like a flat,
I love cobalt.
Chalky cobalt this year.
You know, I used to be all blue before it. Well, I had a blue period in before and after 2 pink periods.
That is a hardcore art school girl thing to say.
I was sad.
I can't laugh at that.
No, but it's just literally, yes, that's how art school girls, even when they're 35, express themselves. But I dyed my hair cobalt and I wore all cobalt and I had a long wool coat at the time. And someone told me I looked like Coraline. That's my favorite movie. So it made me feel good. Express yourself. Express your feelings.
Yeah. Do it. All my feelings are neon right now. So I'm excited.
That's an expression.
Yeah. It's out very out loud. I'm excited. I have been working on my bralette for you and it is bright.
It's chartreuse.
It's not.
Almost.
It's like
it's grass
yellow lime. It's lime. I'll send you another picture. It is like
okay.
It's right here. But like I put it in the.
Yeah, that's lime, but it's a neon. Wouldn't you say?
It's a neon. But it's not chartreuse.
No, you're right.
Chartreuse is a little muddier.
Yeah, chartreuse is slightly more chill, and it's not really neon. I think
it's not a neon.
Okay, wait. Do we have any more pass or smash? That was really fun.
No. But we are going to get sassy about some other things.
Okay, let's do it. So today's episode is about trends. If you did not know, if you didn't read the thing at the top. And
the literal title. Yeah.
We're going to be talking about knitting trends / fashion trends, but mostly trends that we see in knits. And we will be giving you our opinions, but they're just that. If you would smash something that we would pass, that is totally fine. I have a family expression that I've taught my ladies, and it is to not yuck someone's yum. So not yucking anything, but I do have some hardcore passes. I have particular tastes.
Yes. Yes. We have heard that.
Yes, the taste of an old woman. So I think we should run our intro. Should we do our tea?
What do you want to do?
I want to run the intro and get to
the intro. All
right. Let's do it. And we're back.
That's how it works.
That's how it works. And Jen, do you have any tea to share before we get into our trend talk?
Okay. So we are recording this in the beginning of April. I'm getting ready for my photo shoot for my spring collection, which is not a collection. It's just a couple things I need to get photographed. And it's not even all mine because one of them is your bralette design that I'm like frantically trying to knit my way through before Monday. And it's probably not going to happen. But we're trying. And it's very right, except for where it's not. Right. And so I'm demoing it today. I have on a little sports bra. Like, listen, I want knits I can wear sports bras with. So I have that going on. And then, like, look at these, like, mesh bike shorts.
That's great. Mesh is in. Mesh is a trend this year.
Smash. It's a smash.
Smash, yeah.
Yeah, so
All
I'm
day
kind of playing
smash.
with that. I think I'm going to do, I'm torn. Okay, so you know me, I like to do my photo shoots a little bit over the top. Like, I could take pictures of myself in my loungewear at home all day long, but the chance to get in front of a camera with a photographer, it's a chance to be extra and to take up space in a way that a lot of us don't get, right? And is important. And
I
like
still
to
feel
model that.
extra. I feel extra in my loungewear photo shoots.
Yeah.
TBH.
But you're good at it. I don't know. So I'm working with Kyle, Key Lime High, is their handle on Instagram. Yes, we love Kyle. For the first time, and I'm going to drive all the way down to Baltimore on Monday. It's a 4-hour drive to do this photo shoot. And I'm very excited about it. And Kyle is like a drag photographer. So I feel like I really have a chance to be loud. And I'm terrified of it, which makes me feel like it's something I should do. Be a little louder. So I'm thinking I might try and do like a different kind of makeup look. Like maybe look up some like neon tutorials or like some of those cute like neon eyeliners. But is it too much? Is it too much for knitwear? Like this
No, it's
tee
not.
Okay. Because I feel like the appeal of this tee is that it's such a basic. Like most of my testers have already knit 2. Some have knit 3 and are casting on a 4th, which to me is like, okay, that's Stapletown, right? Like, I don't know. So this is like the balance. As a knitwear designer, you're like, okay, do I play up the fact that it's a basic or...
But you can do that at home.
That's how I feel.
I mean, so the little peek into photography as a knitwear designer, I usually do both. I'm trying to do both for many of my garments now. I feel like my hand knit dresses are just going to be extra in a photo shoot because they are really special when you have a hand knit dress. You know, it's not something, you're not pairing it with stuff really. And it just is a lot because it's a dress. However, like for the bralette,
Cookie.
That's Cookie. She's the crankiest. I'm so surprised this is the first time we've got a bark on the pod. But if she does it again, I'm going to lock her up in a room. Oh my God. So for like the bralette, I did a less extra. I mean, granted, I was wearing like a hot purple jumpsuit, but that one was a little bit less extra. And then I did a more extra with graphic eyeliner, which, by the way, I can tell you where to get some really wonderful white eyeliner if you want.
Please do. Mine is chalky. I don't love it. Yeah, actually, like that photo shoot was a baseball cap. It was so good. It was
Smash.
So good. Smash. This is actually maybe just going to be an hour of us like accidentally flirting with each other.
That's okay.
The internet, they deserve it.
I'm okay with that. So my sibling-in-law, Will Beauty, on Instagram, shop Will Beauty and Will Beauty. He's a drag queen. And so I always take my inspiration from drag queens. And everyone's drag mother, Mother Rue, has a famous quote, we're all born naked and the rest is drag. So honestly, no matter how you show up, that is the character that you're putting on. And how we look shouldn't define who we are. So I think the fear of being extra is just that people are going to look at us and think something about us. And how dare they? Because, you know, you can just talk to someone and figure out who they are.
I didn't know I was getting therapy today, but I needed to hear all of that.
Well, drag is a pretty special thing, and it is based on self-expression and beauty and acceptance. So, it is therapy. Photo
I
shoots are
really love
therapy
that.
too.
Anything that we do along the lines of ornamentation is just a spectrum of how much we want to show people of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're putting on like a ton of makeup or something, then obviously it's like a character or a costume in some way. And
Yeah.
whether you wear a ton of makeup every day or not, it doesn't matter. Like, you're allowed to show up that way. Me having a lot of tattoos is like a certain expression of like one aspect of myself, but it's easy for people to characterize me based on that. And then I feel like when I lived in New York on the street, I had so many negative interactions that were based on people thinking either I was more friendly or less friendly than I actually am, just based on how I look.
Yeah.
Like people
Yeah.
assuming I was there to like talk to them or have a conversation. And if I wasn't, that they were like offended by that. Or people assuming that I like wasn't going to be nice based on just whatever. So I think that is really interesting. And I think everyone should try and step outside of their comfort zone, because it's just makeup. It's just clothes. We get to wear what we want, and we can express something one day that like it's not inauthentic just because most of the time you're wearing sweatpants or whatever.
Yeah. And I feel like it's funny because we were like not going to talk about photo shoots, but here we are. But it goes really well with trends, right? Because it's an in the moment expression.
Mm-hmm.
And I will have people tell me I could never show up that way on film, or I'm too uncomfortable to do a photo shoot with my knits. And if you go back and like look at my early designs, like if you go back and look at like Sun Up on 82nd, I am so uncomfortable, and it really shows. And the practice of needing to do these photo shoots, and specifically the practice of trying to amplify or extrafy one aspect of
Mm-hmm.
something that's already on my insides. Like, I'm cosplaying an aspect of myself when I do a photo shoot.
Yes.
Like giving myself the opportunity to go a little deeper in that aspect of myself and caricature it, right? And have it be like being an actress of yourself has given me so much more space mentally, and in, like in this part of the chest where the spiders want to live. Which is,
Yeah.
I think people call that anxiety, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's given me so much, right? And so if anybody is thinking, playing with this sort of thing is not for me, or doing a photo shoot of myself or my knits or my self-expression is not for me, like, go harder. Don't show up as your everyday self. Like, be an actress. Be an actress.
Yeah. I'm more comfortable on camera when I'm like doing the cosplay. And it's still like, like you said, it is still some part of myself that I'm showing. But, what we decide we're going to look like, or like that character that we put on that day, is just one small part of who we are. So I think that allows you to access like hundreds of different parts of yourself for all of these different moments. And I'm loving the neon part of yourself, Jen.
Thank you. Me too. She's fun. She's sassy. I like it. Okay, should we read some letters? Oh, wait, what's your tea? No, we can't read letters yet. We have to hear from you.
I'm really excited because this is not like a typical busy season, but I am a warm weather knits gal. So for me, it is. And I'm about to, when this episode is airing, I think a test knit will probably have just started for my cotton and tee design, which I'm about to knit the sleeves on, and then I get to like show it to everyone. I'm very excited. Been working on that in the background for a while. And then I have another tank that I'm also about to reveal to everyone because I knit it a whole year ago, and I still have to add the trim, and it's been waiting for that for a year. But yeah, I'm about to like have an explosion of new work on my grid and out for people to see. And that's always a very exciting moment.
Yeah.
And so I'm also getting ready for a bunch of photo shoots for all those things. Mm-hmm.
And are there any particular trends that we'll see in those photo shoots?
Well, it is a mesh tank. It is a mesh stitch. And I knit it last summer because I'm so good at knowing what's going to be on trend. No,
I don't
mesh
think
has
I've
been
seen
here.
this one, have I?
Probably not, because I haven't done anything with it.
Yeah, when you were working on it, you were like in the pit. You were not on socials much. Yeah.
Yes, that is right when Candace started chemo last summer. And it was like something that I just did for myself. I think that there was a post with it in the background or something, but I haven't shown it to anyone. I haven't even tried it on because I haven't knit it. It's flat. It's just two flat pieces because it's a mesh garter stitch. So lots of trends.
Oh, cool.
Actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is it pink?
Yeah, it's pink.
Cool.
Yeah. It's like a dark pink linen cotton blend.
Sounds amazing.
It's going to be nice. Everybody go look at my feed. It's probably there right now or coming soon.
I love it.
But yeah, it was something I knit for myself, also knowing like I'll knit this now, I'll write the pattern, I'll be able to put it out next year. And it worked out great. Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. I'm prepared to feel jealous this season as you release 100 amazing designs. It's going to be a good kind of jealousy. That's a lot for spring for knitwear designers, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a dress, a tee, a bralette, and a tank. That is my warm weather collection. And then y'all will have another wool dress coming in July. So
I had 3 designs, I think, come out last April. And I remember that because April was when I was in Portland last year and I was sicker than I've ever been in my whole life. And I lost my voice for like 8 weeks. And I feel like I'm definitely still recovering. Like after we podcast, like I have to take a day or two of like not talking to even recover. I know, but I keep getting like, as the weather changes, like that was so traumatic and upsetting. Like I just keep like the warm air brings it back. But it was chaotic to have that many releases. So I hope you have your energy ready.
Yeah, me too. Let's see what happens.
It's going to be beautiful.
I mean, you know me, if I feel overwhelmed, I'm just going to put one in a drawer and be like, next year.
Next year. Well, that's the cool thing about knitting trends, right? Is we're not looking at the 52 seasons, right? You walk into a Target or another department store that does fast fashion and their clothing will change every week. They have 52 seasons. We have like 3.
Yeah.
And I feel like knitting trends. Go ahead.
I was going to say, when we're talking about like certain shapes, well, this maybe is exactly what you were going to say. Knitting trends last a longer time, I think. Yeah. We see like the same shapes happening for a few years and it'll slowly move away in a different direction, which is probably because it takes us 6 months, a year, you know, to put something out. Like my Therese dress, which just launched when this episode is airing. I knit that last, spring of 2022 and then tested it and then just saved it. Because by the time we got through the test period, it wasn't really a good time for me to release it. So I didn't want to be trying to sell everyone a summer dress in the fall. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I do think that there are certain silhouettes or constructions or design elements that are more perennial, like, and that I think usually harkens to a more historical construction, right? Like an Aran cable knit sweater is always going to look classic.
Yeah.
But it might not have a season where it's particularly like hot, but it will always be not dated looking, or it'll be like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be a staple, especially in the world of knitting, because it is traditional. So
yeah,
I feel like things that are traditional can have a season where they are trendy. I don't know if Aran sweaters, well, I'm sure they have, especially if we look in like the fashion world. I think this past year there was more of that than we've seen, recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they're having a little bit of a moment. Like right now, I've seen several Aran style densely cabled sweaters come out. But this is like, I think, an interesting time to read a note that we got from a knitter whose Instagram handle, I don't know your name, but their Instagram handle is SearchForSelfCare. And they said, I
Awesome.
actually really dislike the emphasis on heirloom crafting. In the 21st century, crafting is inherently impractical if we take such a utilitarian viewpoint on our work. And so I think that obsessing over timelessness hides the real question of what will I enjoy making and what will I enjoy using, which are far more helpful metrics.
I mean, I kind of agree with them because I don't think my personal clothing style is particularly trendy. I kind of feel like my aesthetic sits in like a third bubble of just like when you have a strong aesthetic that doesn't really change, However, I think there's a certain amount of pressure sometimes in the design world to be like, this is an ultra sturdy or super, super high quality garment, which to me is what heirloom means. And it's not to say that something else isn't high quality, but there are certain knitting techniques that make something less heirloom, such as like it being really a looser gauge or a mesh, right? That perhaps a mesh, it depends on the construction of the overall garment. That could be heirloom quality when you're looking at lace, but maybe it's not, it kind of depends. Chunky weight garments are not really heirloom quality because they're going to distort. They just are. But like in the example of my dream knit, which is a floor length chunky yarn garter stitch cardigan with huge pockets, that's a sweater I owned and wore until I wore too many holes in it and couldn't repair it because I didn't make it myself. I mean, I suppose I could have repaired it, but at the time I didn't. And I used to wear the crap out of it. But yeah, I mean, it was just a giant blanket. It wasn't expected to hold its shape. So, there's still room for garments that are not going to stand the test of 100 years if you wear them and you wear them a long time and you can repair something that's not heirloom quality, right? Like,
Yeah.
There's not really a limit for how much use you're going to get out of something just because it may change shape. Like in certain scenarios, I think you'll still love and wear it, or even maybe.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think there's a difference between when we're planning for something to be an heirloom, that implies multiple generations of use and has to be visually appealing over a long period of time. Whereas when we talk about something being heirloom quality, we're talking about construction and technique that are designed to hold up to the equivalent of 100 years worth of wear.
Right.
So when I knit kids knits, I do have heirloom in mind, but also like kids knits like don't really have trends. They're like, there are only so many things you can do with knitting that goes on an infant's body. But I do have garments that my daughter wore that were mine and previous generations of my family's. And that's, that's a little bit different than when I'm making a garment today for myself and I say that it's heirloom quality. What I mean is the investment that you spend in making this is going to pay off. It's shorthand, right?
Yeah, I appreciate you clarifying that and making the distinction. As a designer, I am using fine finishing techniques and thinking about the overall structure of everything that I'm, designing. But there are certain things, right, like a dress that are either going to be a lot less enjoyable to knit because my experience is that people would not enjoy seaming the sides of a dress, if it was like two flat pieces, for example. That's a lot of hand sewing. I know a lot of knitters prefer to knit in the round when they have something like that. So most of my dresses, the skirts are designed in the round. And depending on the structure of the dress, if it's meant to have more shape, then I might have some flat pieces or seaming or faux seams or other techniques to add structure in. But like I'm thinking of Therese, and it's a shift. It's a shift dress knit in a slippery yarn, and it is in a looser gauge, and it's knit seamlessly. So it is likely going to have some distortion over time, but it's also the sort of garment that is, when you design that type of garment, it's sort of built into the design. You know what I mean?
It becomes more body shaped, and that's part of its charm.
Right. The charm of like a shift dress is that it is like a sack. You know?
And like you're not going to wear Therese you're not likely to wear Therese to go hiking or farming. Right? Like it's it's a garment that's appropriate for its use.
Right. And it will withstand being used like as a special occasion dress, right? So I think there's a blurred line between what trendy, or not trendy, but what heirloom quality can mean. And I think it's okay to expect designers to consider the longevity of the piece when they're designing. And I would go so far as to say, like, I hope people do to some degree, because if it takes you 4 months to knit something, you want to be able to wear it for 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? Like you don't want to get 3 wears out of it and then never be able to like be happy with it again.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it has to be something that would possibly last for 100 years. Like heirloom quality is a value. It's not a moral imperative.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's not the same thing as sustainability.
I knit myself a cotton version of this that I plan to machine wash and dry every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Will it last as long as this version that I plan to hand wash? Probably not.
No, probably
Is
not.
that fine? Yeah, totally fine.
Although I will say, like, my cotton knits that I machine wash, I have some and they're fine. And it's been years of that, you know, so I'm still getting way more use out of them than an equivalent cotton tank top like that I might have bought at Target, because those I know will not withstand years of washing and drying. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, I think that there are all sorts of different ways. I feel like there's an intersection here with how big our bodies are, and the amount of time it takes to knit something, and wanting to make sure that it's not going to look dated immediately.
And larger bodies are unfortunately more susceptible to garments suffering from strain and stretch and distortion. Would you say that's true?
I don't know. I haven't thought of it from that perspective. I think
just because it's more fabric, right?
It's more fabric and it can be more weight, right? So more weight will distort things. But I think that if it's well constructed, you won't necessarily have more wearing wear.
No, I guess what I mean is if there is no structure to a garment, then more fabric will mean more distortion. And that means that larger bodies will have a disproportionate amount of distortion to smaller bodies.
Yes, in a design that it does not have. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree. I think there's two ways to think about the kind of the heirloom and the longevity of a garment. And one is construction. I think that's what you're talking about versus like maybe like the visual longevity of something.
Well, that's, I think, where we're going to go right soon.
Yeah.
Is into like visual trends. Because when we think about trends, we usually are thinking of like what is fashionable, what's on the runway, what are we seeing a lot of in style right now.
Yeah. I think that we are pretty thoroughly, for example, coming out of quilt coats.
Yeah. There's still a few. There's a really cute Brandy Cheyenne Harper designed. The Harmony jacket is like cute. It's not really a quilt coat, but it is almost like a knit puffy coat, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, everything she designs is amazing. So.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Yeah. Smash.
Hi, Brandy.
So what do you mean by quilt coat? What do you describe as a quilt coat? Because obviously, like, a knit quilt coat is not an actual.
No, I'm talking about more about the sewing world. I feel like we're going to see a
Ah.
few more seasons of this in the knitting world, but
Okay, yes.
anything, the faster it is to make something, the faster it moves off the radar, right? So we saw quilt coats in fast fashion for about a year. We saw them in sewing for about 3. I think we have a few more seasons left in quilt inspired knitwear. Otherwise, I would not have released Maker's Tunic this winter. And I think that, in some ways, I think it's really cool that knitwear lasts a little bit longer because we have a little bit more time to experiment and play and riff on things.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you find the trends that, like I said, just become part of your aesthetic. And so then, if you really love them, then they're always in style for you,
Right. Yes. Yeah. And that's, I think, we talk about trendiness, but what it really feels like to me, I think a lot of knitters come to making their own clothes out of a sense of exile from social norms, right? So the word trends can be really alienating, at least to me, and I think to a lot of people. But I think what it has a lot to do with when I think of trends in knitting is responding to a body of art that we're making together. And the themes that emerge from that. So like we saw earlier this spring, a number of sheer panel tops, including the one that Harper put out, which was, I found, particularly gorgeous.
Yeah, Usagi.
Yes. And so we saw a handful of those come out, and I think that when I say trends in knitwear, that's kind of what I'm saying is like we see things emerge. We see a group cohesiveness in this overall body of knitted work that we're making.
Yeah, and it's not like it's planned. It's part of kind of a collective consciousness that we all share because we're all connected to each other in one way or another, even if we don't particularly know someone. Like, chances are we're seeing some of the things that they're seeing, and we can be inspired by the same facets. We can come to the same ideas and shapes without it being on purpose, right?
Yeah. In the kind of neurodiverse world, we talk a little bit about parallel play, right? Like, or having parallel conversations. Like if I sit down to talk to somebody, I might not ask them a direct question about their stuff, but I might instead present a thing that I think is of interest to both of us, right? And to me, trends are kind of parallel play. Like we are all in our own homes making different things, but they say something to each other and to the world that's a form of communication. And I like calling it collective consciousness is also probably a really good shorthand for that.
It's a yoga thing, but yeah. So I don't have our letters in front of me, so you're going to have to read them. Yeah.
Should we get into the spicy one?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, so this was particularly fun for us from the inbox side of things because we got exactly 2 emails from listener watchers about trends, and I'm going to read them to you. The first one's from Kiersten. Kiersten had 2 things. I'm going to read them both, so hold tight. Can you please, for funsies, tell us if you've jumped on a now embarrassing trend in the past? Like, what's the funniest thing you've knitted in your past? I have a friend who knit the garment that's a pullover sweater that is really just sleeves and gets cut off right at the armpit join, and we're seeing those become popular again. Or who knit with eyelash yarn? It's fun to knit along with you. Pass on eyelash yarn. So before I get into the spicy part, let's answer this for Kiersten. I definitely cast on like a mesh bolero arm cover thing in like 2011. I did not finish it.
I could see that being very 2011. Very 2011 Jen. I've been trying to think, and I'm just not embarrassed of any of my knits. Like, the things that are embarrassing about my early makes is that they like didn't fit. I didn't understand row gauge or like what yarns were good substitutions. But I'm not embarrassed of that because I was learning. Yeah. And like, I just don't think of trends when I am dressing myself and choosing what I'm going to make, either because I am just very aesthetically driven. And so I think I've always just sort of like come to the ideas of what I want to make. And it might be trendy, but I may or may not even be aware of that. So I feel like I said, it's hard for me to answer this. I definitely made some like alpaca garter stitch sweaters in the early and mid aughts that I feel like were probably on trend at the time and not something I would make or wear now. But yeah, that's the best answer I've got.
I didn't start really knitting for myself until very recently, but in my teen years, I did sew myself a lot of clothes, including a lot of like kind of Renaissance fair inspired like peasant clothing. So there was
but
like
that's
a
not
lot
trendy.
Of... No, I was never trendy. God no. But it was trendy in my group. Let's put it that way. But it's now a little bit like, oh girl.
I mean, I definitely wore a lot of like American Apparel, not really clothes when I was in art school and college, which was very trendy at the time. And they had like scumbag photographers like Terry Richardson taking photos of their models, whatever, art school gossip. And this is my inner 2004 child coming out.
I did have a lot of those shirts though from the store that had like fake collars, cuffs, and hems. They were designed to like look like a sweater. Like that was like my business wear when I started in accounting. Very awkward.
I've never had to wear business wear. So like the 2 or 3 times in my life I have been interviewed in an office setting, I have looked like a freak. I have had no idea what to wear. I spent a lot of my 20s just asking my friends, like, what do you wear to work? I can't conceptualize it.
Yeah. I spent a lot of money trying to figure it out. And the answer was stop being an accountant. So then Kiersten went on to say, I find mohair's trend journey super interesting because we all know the terribly itchy mohair from the 80s, but mohair somehow held on or came back with a bougie upgrade of smoother fibers and even alternatives like Magpie Fibers Plume, which is a cashmere silk base that is similar to mohair. Suri alpaca is really having its day too right now. I personally am obsessed with soft, fuzzy goodness, and I don't care if some people think it's trendy. So let's read Kelly's letter, which came in the same day as Kiersten's. Off the bat, the number one thing I'd like to see move along are sweaters with yarn held double, specifically with mohair or suri alpaca. It's for a mix of subjective and kind of more objective reasons. And she gave us an itemized list of the reasons she hates this. 1, I find both fibers incredibly itchy and comparable alternatives like cashmere are cost prohibitive. 2, it's already expensive to knit a sweater in mid to high quality yarn in my size. Buying double the yarn is just not within financial reach most of the time. Most of the patterns I have seen don't give any yarn equivalent size if you want to use a single strand of yarn. So you have to guess, and you can't really recapture the fuzzy look easily. And 4, knitting double makes for a much warmer garment than single yarn, and I live in a warm climate, so I could never wear them.
Yeah, that's lots of feelings.
The funniest thing about this to me is that Kiersten feels like these fibers are now super soft, and Kelly is like, these fibers are from like the depths of hell. Why are people wearing them?
And that is why allergists need to do a animals that make clothing panel for people.
Right? Bringing it back.
Right?
Yeah. I find a baby suri alpaca to be one of the softest things I've ever put on my body and not at all itchy. But a non-baby suri alpaca, it's a different story, right? So it depends on the fiber in your fiber.
Not all alpaca is created equal. But I do have a baby suri alpaca silk combo lace weight yarn in my stash that will probably become a mesh t-shirt of some kind.
Super cute.
But I do think actually, so we were talking about yarns held double. Sorry, I just picked up the old lady so that she would calm down a little bit. This is my angry rescue Frenchie. So I do think yarns held double. To me, in a lot of situations, I don't like. I did knit. You have a garment with yarn held double, and I knit it and I liked it, and that's fingering weight, and it made just like a really nice springy fabric because of the amount of twist. I mean, there are situations where holding the yarn letters.
Oh, yeah. Letters holds fingering double, and it's the same yarn, and it is a DK equivalent. That's right.
Yes, you hold two strands of the same yarn together, but what it does is that you get a much springier fabric than if you had used a worsted weight yarn, because it's many plies and it's high twist, right?
Yeah, and because you're holding them together, it makes kind of a rectangular figure 8 shape to the fiber, so it's a little bit chunkier, a little bit more rugged of a texture. I do also have a design that holds a single strand of mohair and lace mohair and fingering together, which I was like, you never knit that. So that's what threw me.
What's that?
Sun Up on 82nd.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't knit that sweater. I think I have the pattern though. Well, that's what I was going to say though. In the case of holding mohair or suri alpaca with another fiber, you're just making a unique fiber. So
yeah,
it's okay if that's not for everyone, but I do understand like the thinking behind using strands together sometimes, because it gives you something different. But I'm also a warm weather climate person, so I'm not inclined to do a lot of that myself. I'd rather use one strand of like fine yarn most of the time.
Yeah. And I feel like we are seeing this move along some, right? Like this is a trend that is beginning to fade a little bit, and maybe it's just because it's spring, and fuzzy yarns don't get their moment in the sun as much in spring.
Well, and I think it's also because people are being a little more economically minded at the moment in their designs, or perhaps they are because we are here in the States coming into a big recession. So, it is more expensive to do two strands of yarn held together than one strand. Most of the time, it kind of depends. Fingering weight yarn is so much more yardage per skein that like it might not be more expensive to knit two strands of fingering weight yarn together than one strand of worsted. So I think it always depends. I
think there are also two ways to look at the economics of expensive knits. One is that it costs a lot of money, so it's like objectively more expensive. But the other is one that you have talked about quite a bit, and that is that using an expensive yarn to make yourself something incredibly bespoke leverages each of those dollars so much further. So if you need, for example, something uber classy to wear to an event, and you can't afford, $1,000 dress, you can knit one for $200, $300.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is luxury. It is luxury. I'm not going to say that it's not luxury, but it's a different perspective on luxury than the one that is so binary. Is this expensive? Yes, no.
Yeah. And I will say, and I've talked about this, like you said, growing up in Connecticut, living in New York, being invited to a lot of events like that. And as a yoga teacher, I've had some clients that are, wearing designer labels every day. So I've had clients that were really generous who have lent me like their Prada, their Armani, their Gucci, and I've worn those dresses and I know what the quality is. And I think like before I had the experience of like wearing some of those, in my mind, like something I made could never compete with that, but it really does. It really does. They're just regular dresses, basically the difference between like a Prada dress and a fast fashion version of the same dress is that the Prada one was made by someone who's probably paid a fair wage, TBH. Hopefully. I mean, I don't know the ethics of that company, so I'm definitely not like buying for them in any way, but So when you look at something that you are able to make, then every dollar you spend gets elevated. But the truth is that like, if you were looking at a designer hand knit garment, it's going to be rare that it was made with 100% silk or 100% tencel. And the quality is probably more comparable to a budget yarn anyway. you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And there's an obvious intersection here when we talk about the cost of knitting and size inclusion, right? Like, so if you want to
Mm-hmm.
create a garment in one of these bespoke yarns and you need more yarn, that's a more expensive project.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, like I'm a small fat, my body dimensions change. If you're just looking at my shoulders, it might not be as obvious. Um, you know, but even I can't buy clothes in most stores, much less nice clothes. Um, and so it's a matter of like what's available. Like if I wanted to buy like a dress, like I'd have to, that was high quality, I would have to go to a maker on like Etsy and get a custom garment for my dimensions. Like if I just go to a department store and try and get something that I can wear out, it's very rare that there is anything in the stores that will even go on me, and what is cost as much as these garments
Right.
and is garbage. So
Right.
in some ways it opens up accessibility at the same price point. But you know, I don't want to say that it's okay for everything to be expensive all the time. I do think that the designers who are responding to the financial situation are wise, because knitters just don't have, you know, thousands of dollars laying around for yarn.
Yeah. But I think what we're also just saying or encouraging is like, if you don't have thousands of dollars for yarn, or even hundreds, if you're spending $50 and you're getting, you know, Lion Brand, etc., to knit your dress, don't feel like you can't wear that to
Yeah.
the wedding you've been invited to any beautiful restaurant, etc., because you know, when you recognize the value of those garments is the labor. It's always the labor. It's not the materials. You know, you can elevate any yarn
Absolutely.
into a luxury garment. So, yeah, so we can be economically minded and still remember that what you've made is incredibly valuable, you know, and that is what makes it
Mm-hmm.
special. So, yeah. But okay, I think we need to talk more about mohair. I mean, yeah, mohair is an
Pass.
offender. Yeah, pass for me too. But not like we said, baby suri alpaca is quite nice.
Smash. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but is definitely not inexpensive. And
That's
neither
right.
is like a cashmere silk, which would also be, you know, would smash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I
It's too fluffy for me. I
understand.
feel like a cashmere silk, like, I don't know. I can only do so much fluff before I feel like it's in my like brain cavity.
Yeah, I don't like the experience of breathing in the fluff. I don't like seeing it on like my couch or my car seat when I stand up after I've been sitting there. Um, and then I feel like fibers that shed a lot like that aren't going to wear as well because they're shedding fibers all the time. So they can become more threadbare. But I also at the same time will say that I love the look when I see people wearing like mohair and other fluffy designs. It looks beautiful. So if my
Yeah.
skin, I think I would get a rash like within an hour of wearing like a mohair top because my skin is not, would not smash. So it's just not even an option for me.
Yeah. And I feel like this year we're seeing more spring garments that are designed in fibers appropriate for spring. Like,
Yeah,
we're not seeing worsted weight tank tops this year. Thank you.
I
Um,
know. Yeah.
you know, you're wearing Anna today, which is a fingering
Hmm.
weight merino,
Hmm.
which is perfect mid-season garment.
Yeah. It's 91
Mm-hmm.
here today in Florida, but
No, thank you. Pass. It's going to be 81 and rainy here today, which is also disgusting.
that is
Um,
disgusting.
mm-hmm.
It's sunny here at least. But I do find merino wool wears really great in spring and in the fall for a tee. And
Yeah.
Anna has no armpit. I mean, there's like armpit stitches in the body, but not in the sleeve. So I don't get like real sweaty when I wear
Fog
this.
pit.
It's,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, wool can be a nice fiber, but nobody, well, I can't say nobody. I don't think a lot of people want to wear heavy wool even on like a somewhat warm day. I would not. I have not. But wool tanks and tees knit and fingering weight, I am surprised at how much use I get out of them now that I live in a warm climate.
Yeah, I have seen a flurry of activity on my Gone to Seed tee this month, which makes sense because it's like, it's an almost lace weight, but an open gauge in a blend that's like a cotton linen, merino, and alpaca. Like, it's got it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's like, it's like an airy layer. Like, it holds a lot of air, but it breathes so well that it's super, super practical.
Yes. Yeah. And that tee, as well as this one, has lace panels, which contributes to that breathability. And they're both like lots of positive ease in these garments. I always do the thing that Jen says not to do. And I add like lots of positive ease into my satin sleeves. But,
but not at the bust. It's not at the bust.
I mean, I do think it's like 4. I won't go more than 4 at the bust in a satin because that is already high amounts of positive ease.
Yeah, agree.
Because of this, because you have to pull in so quickly that you will get like a little bit of fabric folds around the underarm, and I don't want to have more than that. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah. It's a situation. So question for you. We're designers, and so spring is nice, but we're on to fall. So what are you thinking of for fall this year?
This year for the fall, I have a linen wool blend party sleeve.
Ooh, party sleeve.
My first party sleeve. Well, I don't know if it's my first party sleeve because I have a lot of
Define party sleeve for the people.
Well, so this is what I was going to say.
Okay.
Jen and I have this expression party sleeve, which means a sweater that is a fairly straightforward sweater, but it has a fun sleeve. Like the sleeve is the design feature, right? So that could be balloon sleeves, or it could be like a lot of color work on the sleeve, or maybe the sleeve has a different texture. People do all kinds of party sleeves. There are many party sleeve sweaters that I would pass on, but there are many party sleeve sweaters that I would also smash on. And I am doing two party sleeves, I would say, this fall, because I'm doing the all over lace raglan that has balloon sleeves and a balloon shape. So excited to finally get to that, which I'll be casting on in the next like 2 or 3 weeks. So psyched. And then I'm doing a wool and linen pullover that's going to have, it's more color block, not really color work. And I haven't quite finessed what the sleeve is going to look like, but it's going to be a party. Yeah.
Nice.
So, oh, and I have the Jane dress, which is also, so that's, would you say that all of the garments that I design and love and wear with like a 3/4 bell sleeve, is that a party sleeve?
It's on the line. A bell sleeve, a bishop sleeve, it's on the line.
Right, because they're fairly standard, it's a different type of sleeve, but it's not that unusual where I think of it as like a pretty classical,
they're carrying over
shape.
the garment in a silhouette that is voluminous, but I don't feel like Julie's not like a party sleeve, even though she like can get down. Yeah.
And Jane, I think the same. Jane has virtually the same sleeve as Julie, but it doesn't look the same.
Yeah, no, that dress is very different.
Yeah.
Cool. So sleeves. We're thinking sleeves for fall. I like it.
Yeah. What are you doing in the fall?
I want to continue to do lightweight, ultra wearable. I feel like there's a lot of we traditionally see a lot of color work and dark saturated colors in the fall, and sweatery sweaters for the sake of knitting sweaters, a lot of yokes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I thought I was going to do a yoke. I'm not happy with the fit that's possible in yoke sweaters, and I don't want to contribute, so I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Hot
Agreed.
take. Not going there. Maybe one day.
I think we have a letter that goes there, don't we?
Yeah, I took it out, but I think it was Jillian who was like, I'm ready to see these guys move right along. Yeah, that.
And we agree with you, Jillian.
We're done. We're with you. I mean, they're fine. They're beautiful. They're classic, but like they just don't.
Either you like the way that a circular yoke sweater fits on your body, or you do not. And if you do not, there is very little that you can do to improve the fit. So Jen and I are people who do not really like them.
And there's just not a great way to make the neckline real consistent across the grade in a true yoke sweater. There just isn't. The ratios are really locked in. In a raglan, you get a lot of flexibility with your shaping rate that you just don't get with a full-on yoke, which I know you have something to say about.
Well, I was just going to say I designed a circular yoke that will be coming out in spring 24 because I was asked specifically for a circular yoke. However, even though I was asked specifically for a circular yoke, I didn't give them that straight up. I still created a hybrid and used, a circular panel that was not the entire yoke so that I could have raglans above and below. It's still, though, because the circular panel is a large portion of the yoke, still really limits what I was able to do with the shaping. But I was ultimately much happier with the fit than with like any other circular yoke sweater that I've knit myself in the past. And so, I'm not, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with them if they fit you, but they don't, the problem with them is that they don't fit a lot of people and you don't have much.
And they don't fit consistently across the grade.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like that's consistent with my brand.
Yeah. And it's just not my aesthetic at the end of the day, regardless of if I can find one that looks nice on me or not. It's just not really my thing. I like deep necklines. I like more open chest stuff. So circular yokes don't really allow for that.
Yeah. I'm planning a lot of raglans for next year. I have 3 that are firm scheduled. It's funny because I love designing raglans so much. And like, I think the first 2 or 3 I designed were raglans. And I was like, I do too many raglans. I need to branch out. And then I was like, I haven't done a raglan in so long now because I told myself I was doing too much of it. And so now I'm like, whatever, girl, get your raglan. So,
I design a lot of set-in sleeves. I feel like I should change, but then I'm like, I shouldn't because I just like them.
Yeah.
So, but I'm also planning another bralette for this year. More for winter. And I'm very tempted to make a floor-length cardigan, Jen. I'm considering I have a collaboration that I haven't designed the sketch for yet. And that's maybe what it's going to be. So we'll see. If you guys would be into knitting that, leave comments because I want to know if it's just me that obsesses over like a blanket jacket. But for warm weather people in the winter, I really missed having that piece in my wardrobe this past winter because I don't need a coat here ever, but it does get chilly and I do need like a sweater coat is perfect in Florida.
Yeah. So tell us, smash or pass on Bess's full-length cozy cardi. I want to do, I think I may have mentioned this to you offline, but I had an idea for something that I thought like wouldn't be my brand. I was like, I should probably give this idea to a client of mine. I'm keeping it. I think I'm going to do it. So it's kind of like a graphic layering piece that's semi-sheer.
That's awesome.
So yeah, more to come on that. I'm not ready to talk about it.
That's fine. I think we're excited, and I think this leads us pretty well into letting everyone know what our next episode is going to be about.
Yeah, we're going to talk about most worn garments.
Our most worn knits. So we'll do a little show and tell, and also let you know like what we think about these garments has made them so wearable. So Jen and I both design in a way that one is meant to promote the longevity and sustainability of your garment so that you can wear it over and over again. Two, we design in a way that we hope you'll actually want to and enjoy wearing our designs. With all that said, some of them come out more wearable than others. So we'll let you know which ones we find super wearable in our lives and our lifestyles. And I'm excited. I'm excited to have a conversation about things I wear. Some of them are things I designed that I've never released. So,
So here's what we want to hear from y'all. You know that we love to read out your letters. It makes things more fun. We would like to hear if you have a garment that you wear a lot. Why do you wear it a lot? Like, what are the traits? Or if you have one that you're kind of surprised to find that you don't wear as much as you want, tell us the traits. But do us a favor. Don't name the design or the designer for us. Keep it cryptic so that we can read it without kind of dissing on anyone. So yeah, keep it secret. Keep it secret, but tell us about the traits of it that make it wearable. Did I do okay with that? Did I put that right?
I think so.
Okay,
yeah, we're
you.
not about like name and shame, so we don't want to come off like whatever. So just tell us like it's like this type of sweater or this type of thing. And if you feel you want to name the pattern, that's fine. We just won't read it if we read it.
Yeah, we'll bleep you. We're gonna swear, but we're not gonna name your pattern.
Exactly.
Yeah. So but we do want to hear from you. We think like we know a handful of designers watch this, and so this is kind of your chance to give a broader designer audience your feedback on what makes things wearable or not wearable, and also for us to, make designs that work for y'all.
Yeah. And as usual, it's so much fun to do this. Thank you all for watching so that we have a reason to keep doing it. Happy knitting.
Thanks, babes. Happy knitting. Bye.